Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you with us today because, well, we're going to deconstruct something that feels like pure magic, but is actually driven by surprisingly simple, elegant mechanics. If you've ever used a modern AI chatbot and thought to yourself, wait, how is this thing actually thinking? You're in the exact right place. Today, we're popping the hood on the world's most famous AI. We're going to look at the exact blueprint of how a raw language model transforms into a lifelike conversational partner. By the end of our time today, you won't just understand how ChatGPT works. You'll actually understand the underlying principles well enough to build your very own AI chatbot from absolute scratch. Let's get into it. You know, there's a really fascinating historical quirk about all this that often gets totally overlooked. When ChatGPT launched, it absolutely blew up. We're talking a staggering 1 million users in just a single week. It literally felt like this unbelievable technology just dropped out of thin air. But here's the catch. The underlying engine powering it, the GPT-3 model, actually debuted way back in 2020. In fact, it had been available for public access for over a whole year before ChatGPT ever even saw the light of day. So we have to ask ourselves, how did a 2020 AI become a 2022 global phenomenon, literally overnight? What exactly changed during that 2-year gap? Section 1. The secret behind ChatGPT. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to peel back the curtain on this whole conversational AI illusion and figure out exactly what bridged that massive gap between a powerful yet kind of obscure tech tool and a worldwide sensation. Before ChatGPT came along, if you wanted to use GPT-3, you had to interact with it through an API or this clunky playground web interface. That meant you were dealing with seriously intimidating technical setups. You had to manually tune specific configuration hyperparameters and test raw inputs. It was super technical, basically geared just toward data scientists and developers. But what made ChatGPT so phenomenally successful? Its accessibility. OpenAI took that exact same raw intelligence and wrapped it up in a friendly, super accessible AI assistant interface. Suddenly, the average person didn't need a PhD in machine learning to use AI. The real secret wasn't some massive leap in underlying intelligence, it was a massive leap in user experience.
Section 2. The magic of prompting. So having a slick interface is only half the battle, right? The other half is how we instruct the model to actually behave like a helpful assistant, rather than just some random text generator spitting out words. Let's anchor ourselves with a really simple definition here. Prompting is just the process of instructing an AI to do something. You've probably seen examples of this everywhere by now, prompting an AI to summarize a long document, write a quick blog post, or maybe even create a poem. But when we talk about building a chatbot, the prompt takes on a much more structural role. That prompt you type into the interface, it isn't just sent to the AI all by itself. It's actually inserted into a much larger, hidden prompt that basically acts as the operating system for your entire conversation. To understand how this hidden operating system actually works, we need to talk about a concept called in-context learning. You might also hear it called few-shot learning. This is a phenomenal capability of models like GPT-3. Essentially, it means the model can learn how to behave just from reading a simple instruction or a few examples provided directly within the prompt itself. You don't have to rewrite the AI's core code at all. You literally just have to give it a script to read, and it instantly adopts the persona and formatting you've shown it. It's like handing an actor a character sheet right before they walk on stage. Think about it like this. Imagine you want to create a fictitious chatbot named Skippy. You feed GPT-3 a prompt formatted exactly like a movie script. You type user, followed by what the human said, and then Skippy, followed by the response. Because GPT-3 was pre-trained on just vast amounts of internet text, it immediately recognizes this back-and-forth pattern as a conversation. By formatting the text exactly this way, you're essentially telling the AI, hey, you are an actor named Skippy. Read this script, figure out what words have the highest probability of coming next, and for heaven's sake, stay in character. This completely hits the nail on the head regarding a point made by AI researcher Riley Goodside. He tweeted back in late 2022 how to make your own knockoff ChatGPT using GPT-3, where you can customize the rules to your needs. This perfectly captures the big revelation here. The entire ChatGPT experience is, at its core, just a brilliant application of prompted text rules. By setting up that back-and-forth script format we just talked about, absolutely anyone with API access can create a custom conversational AI. You are literally just writing the rules of a roleplay. It's that simple. Section 3. Giving your AI memory. Okay, this brings us to the biggest mystery of all. When you talk to a chatbot, how on earth does it remember a joke you made 5 minutes ago? Does it have some complex internal database tracking your every word? Well, the answer is delightfully simple, and honestly, a little bit of a magic trick. There is no magical dynamic memory drive inside the language model, none at all. Instead, past exchanges between the chatbot and the user are simply appended to the next prompt. Every single time you hit send, the system takes your brand new message, glues it to the bottom of the entire transcript of your conversation so far, and sends that massive updated script right back to GPT-3. The AI only remembers what you said because you are literally copy-pasting the entire history of the conversation into its context window every single time you speak to it. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the number you see right there. Because we're constantly appending the conversation history to the prompt, a crucial constraint comes into play: 4,097. The prompt obviously grows larger and larger with every single exchange, right? But language models have a strict, hard limit on how much text they can physically process at once. This text is measured in tokens, which are essentially individual words or little pieces of words. For standard GPT-3 models, the combined limit for your prompt and the AI's generated response is exactly 4,097 tokens, which roughly translates to about 3,000 words. So once your conversation script hits that absolute limit, the chatbot physically cannot remember the earliest parts of your chat. That is, unless you step in and start summarizing or deleting older messages to make room. Section 4. Creative Chatbot Use Cases. Because these core mechanics, formatting a script and appending memory, are so foundational, developers are out there using them to craft incredibly diverse personas. Consider a therapy chatbot, for example. Now, normal ChatGPT is designed to be a highly general, somewhat passive assistant. It answers your questions, sure, but it rarely drives the conversation forward. But by changing those hidden prompt instructions we discussed, you can actually engineer the prompt to instruct the AI to actively ask follow-up questions, probe for daily feedback, and intentionally guide the user through their day. You literally just write in the prompt, "You are a helpful therapist. Always end your response with a reflective question for the user." And boom, just like that, the behavior of the underlying GPT-3 model completely transforms. Or check out this absolutely fascinating project by Michelle Huang. She wanted to create an inner child chatbot. So how did she do it? She took old journal entries from her actual childhood and pasted them directly into the system prompt, right alongside the conversational instructions. By feeding the model this highly specific, highly personal context, GPT-3 was able to mimic the exact personality, tone, and vocabulary of her younger self. She effectively created a time machine using in-context learning. It allowed her to have a real-time dialogue with the child she used to be. Now, keep in mind, pulling something like this off means you really have to manage that token limit we talked about carefully, maybe summarizing some entries if they get too long, but still, the creative potential here is just staggering. Section 5. 4 Steps to Build. All right, we've explored the friendly interface, the magic of prompting, the copy-paste memory trick, and the custom personas. Now, it's time to put all those puzzle pieces together into a remarkably simple, totally satisfying 4-step loop. If you're writing a Python script to build this yourself, here's exactly what your code does. Step 1, format the user's input into your predefined chatbot prompt. Adding it to that user and Skippy script format. Step 2, send that script straight to the GPT-3 API and get the AI's response. Step 3, update your master prompt by saving both what the user just said and what the AI just answered. And step 4, loop. You literally just wait for the user to type something else and you run the whole shebang all over again. That simple loop is the beating heart powering the entire modern conversational AI revolution. Which leaves us with one final, very important question for you. What kind of persona or chatbot will you build with these tools? Now that you can see past the illusion, now that you know it's really just a clever use of script formatting, in-context learning, and appending memory loops, the power is entirely in your hands. You don't need a supercomputer, you don't need a PhD to shape AI. You really just need a clear set of instructions and a little bit of creativity. So think about the problems in your life or the conversations you wish you could have, and go build it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and keep exploring.